Let's just say that Capcom's catalog over the years hasn't exactly tickled my fancy in terms of their new titles. While I personally have heavily appreciated the compiled collections of the Mega Man and Ace Attorney franchises, the emphasis on Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, and Resident Evil above all else has largely turned me off. So the announcement of Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, caught me off guard. This unique action strategy adventure seemed entirely unlike anything the developer has launched recently, reminded me of the likes of Okami, at least regarding the presentation. When having had the opportunity to play Kunitsu-Gami myself, I found it to be a refreshing experience, contrasting the more heavy time commitment based releases of this generation. Kunitsu-Gami follows the protagonist, So, on a quest to protect the mountain maiden Yoshiro, as she purifies the land against the otherworldly monstrosities known as the Seath. It's a simple, omnipresent goal communicated with sparse dialogue, leaving the rest of the journey wordless. The continuous task requires So and Yoshiro to team up with villagers scattered throughout checkpoints on the mountain, where time management during day and night is vital. Above all else, Kunitsu-Gami pursues its gameplay and it shines because of it. This avenue can be divided into three general categories, with the first being day preparation. When visiting a new village, you must carve a path for Yoshiro to gradually dance as she moves, eventually leading to the Torii Gate, and the result is innate purification. The conclusion of this purification ritual signals the completion of the stage, though much later areas have multiple Torii Gates per level. The beginnings of how you approach these stages largely shapes how the rest of them will go, since there's quite a bit you have to do to get a leg up on the Seath in a limited time before nightfall hits. For one, several trapped villagers are scattered around the area, and saving them with So recruits them to your cause. Every villager on your side can then be outfitted into one of several roles achieved by spending accrued currency. While performing this collective feat, you can also send the rescued villagers to free obstacled pathways leading to pockets of concentrated defilement. Now, if you can free each localized spot of defilement, you gain more currency used to guide Yoshiro's dance to the Torii Gate and increased leeway for altering a villager's role should you deem it necessary. Plus, a special equipable prize is granted. Moreover, a non-combat affiliated repairman can be directed to build specified tools to impede the incoming Seath. As overwhelming as the day's task seems, they're gradually self-explanatory and swift to enact, eventually building an encompassed sense of accomplishment that doesn't feel lesser due to the simplicity of it all. And thankfully, if you find yourself done with the necessary tasks during the day, you can fast forward time at your leisure, quickening Yoshiro's dance at the arrival of nighttime. And it's here that the second phase of gameplay formula begins, and it's also relatively intuitive. Seath pour out of the Torii Gate, with multiple gates sometimes being presented in later stages, and you have to either eliminate the Seath or survive until daytime initiates. A core component of contending with the Seath adequately is rooted in the utilization of the rescued villagers, with you able to direct them wherever you like. Further, the assigned villager roles are crucial in their behaviors, such as archers being ideal for sniping distant and flying foes from afar, and sumo wrestlers being excellent magnetized tanks. Healer and supportive roles are present as well, so there's plenty to pursue and digest, especially as you progress and gain access to more types. This collective process is loosely akin to Pikmin, instilling that familiar sensation of combat-based fulfillment. Interestingly though, the omniscient strategy incorporation is not all that present here, since So is capable of full-on action combat to combat the Seath himself. While having an expectedly compact move list, So's combative maneuvers embody a phenomenon known as sword dancing, meaning his attacks weave together rhythmically. Each action is immensely satisfying to pull off, especially for someone like me who vast prefers speed in his action games. It's also worth noting that So's few combos, dictated by precise button combinations, each have evident vicinity benefits, further elucidating their usefulness. For example, one combo is ideal for sweeping nearby a group of foes, while another is best for combating singular targets. The additions of a dash and guard amplify the unexpected authenticity of the action implementations here, seeing as I was expecting more of a strategy experience here. To be entirely candid, as minor as the action gameplay here ultimately is, The smooth swiftness of gameplay makes this a very enjoyable Capcom-developed game. The rhythmic freedom is unmatched, never growing even remotely dull. While doubtful, I would love a fully fledged action title with this combat blueprint as its basis. There's an impressive number of enemy types for such a brief playtime. When considering the distinct stage types and other minor mechanics that differentiate each area from the others, the battles against the Seath are always thrilling. The sense of reward is also unrivaled, thanks to the aforementioned rewards obtained from complete purification alongside optional objectives encouraging replayability. The sole blemish on the otherwise pristine gameplay loop is that while you can fast forward during the day to your liking, some Seath combat encounters last far too long, not feeling like genuine difficulty, and instead of a padding on the encounter, these encounters seem like needless time sinks, accentuated in circumstances where Yoshido takes longer than usual to dance to the Torii gates. Sadly, this disappointment makes the prospect of replaying stages for their optional missions not a constantly inviting one. On the other hand, the boss battles are much more inviting to replay. Separate from the typical stages, these boss arenas solely contained Yoshido and mostly a select number of villagers to combat a particularly threatening entity. The day preparation is entirely absent. Substantively, every boss battle is well designed, with fair telegraphs and behaviors that necessitate actual thought about your assigned villager roles. None stand out for blind irritation, and so's satisfying combat movement makes matters even more enjoyable. Bosses also have optional missions, so there's sufficient reason to learn the ins and outs. The final element of the general gameplay loop occurs beyond the purifying stages and boss battles. Once you gain access to an area housing a Torii gate, it becomes a new base where several tasks are possible. For one, you can assign villagers to repair obstructed paths or rebuild landmarks, culminating in bonus rewards. More significant is the tent Yoshido stays in, which is where crucial decisions are made. Here you can upgrade your villager roles with new abilities, equip So with new gear, and even unlock new abilities for him in the later hours. Further, you gain access to innumerable bases as you progress, and you must complete stages to pass the in-game time for repairs to finalize. The continual process is there to keep you busy between the stages, but it's so forgettable and superficial that I would have preferred an alternative approach. You, without exaggeration, simply select an area for villagers to rebuild, and that's it. The most implemented thought that comes to mind in these scenarios where you have to wander around to gather building materials, which takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes at most. I'm unsure why this functionality is even here. While the base rebuilding tasks aren't necessarily a hassle, they give the vibe of being there just for the sake of it, instilling a hollow sense of fulfillment. In contrast to the previous 2 general gameplay phases, this third one falls short by a decent number of notches. That said, the new Game Plus features will keep dedicated players busy in a more respected way, with new rewards to earn. Despite a few gameplay stumbles, Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess is a welcome new strategy action title from Capcom full of an identity all its own that I hope to see more of in the developer's future. The addictive stage and combat design are well crafted, with player choice at the core of success. Plus, the gorgeous visuals and soundtrack shine with memorable distinction. Even if you find yourself packed with newer releases this year, Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess is still worth consideration since its relatively brief time still leaves a discernible impact on the player. Noisy Pixel is giving Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.